You're listening to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. Comics, television, movies, and more. If it impacts fan culture, we have something to say about it. And now, your hosts, Jordan, Cliff, and Seth.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Ka-Pow, the pop culture podcast. My name is Jordan Lowe.
I'm Cliff Barnes.
I'm Seth.
How is it going?
It's going.
Good. Glad to hear it.
A lot of Batman up in here.
Yeah, you've been reading some Batman. I saw that.
Yep.
Back to writing reviews again?
I don't know. Yeah, I guess. Right
For
now.
the moment.
You might get one a week from me for a month, and then I'll give it up. But nobody sees it anyway. Facebook's really good at hiding everything. So who cares? I'm just doing it more to keep track of.
Like Batman hides in the shadows.
That's right.
Facebook keeps him hidden.
Yeah. If you're evil enough to come find these reviews and dig into the shadows, they'll be there waiting on you.
Well, speaking of shadows and dark spots in pop culture, I feel like we have to address it. Something that happened a couple weeks ago. We haven't had a chance to record since the Oscars.
Did you eat another calzone?
Yeah. But, we all watched the Oscars. We saw the moment that shocked and offended all decent viewers at home when Zack Snyder was recognized for 2 awards at the Oscars.
It's nuts.
The Snyderverse has the Snyder boys or bros or whatever have attacked again and won.
How is that possible? So in their quest to make the Oscars more hip or viewer-friendly or young or whatever they're trying to do with the Oscars, they had the Oscars' top 5 most cheer-worthy moments
ever
in film history.
That's so hilarious to me. Their point
Dorothy on the Yellow Brick Road to blowing up the Death Star, the whole history of cinema to choose from. And however the online vote, I assume they narrowed it down. I assume it wasn't just picked literally anything, because the 5 they ended up with were The Matrix, Bullet Time of Neo dodging the bullets.
There you go. That's
the
fun. Solo
song from the movie Dreamgirls.
Why not? Okay. If you're telling me you don't think it could just be from any.
I don't know how these were narrowed down. The Avengers Assemble.
Okay.
Catching the hammer and saying Assemble.
That's the number one cheer-worthy moment I've probably ever seen.
The 3 Spider-Men.
That's what they wanted to win. That's why they created the category, was so Spider-Man could get recognition.
But the number 1, because after those 4, I'm like, wow, this could be literally anything.
Yeah.
We have all cinema to recognize, and it was Flash Enters the Speed Force from Zack Snyder's cut of Justice League. And I sat there with my jaw dropped, like, hey, we all kind of enjoyed that movie. We all said it was an improvement on the original. It was fine.
Yeah.
But I literally didn't even remember that happening in the movie. The one and only time I watched it, it was not a thing that stuck out to me whatsoever. So, yeah, Zack Snyder's online army of apologists and trolls kind of made the Oscars their target, I guess. You gotta pay attention to
anything that they can get pulled off and show what a mistake it was to try and tangle with the internet.
Right.
Be old and stodgy and stuffy. Do not come to the internet.
No.
And then later they had to vote for the fan favorite movies, which I don't really have a problem with. If the Oscars show clips from big budget fun movie, like that's
people go to the movies for that.
Yeah, it should be a celebration of movies. But of course, what won fan favorite movie? Army of the Dead. The Netflix
Zack Snyder, baby,
from Zack Snyder. So clean sweep on the internet votes for Senior Snyder.
Wow, makes me want to run into the Speed Force.
Yeah.
We have to go back.
Anyway,
and I don't think anything else happened.
Nothing else happened that
Nope.
I care about.
The character Anita won an actress her second Oscar from West Side Story.
Yeah.
As we have talked before, she joins the Joker and Vito Corleone as the only characters to win 2 Oscars.
That's interesting.
So if anyone even remembers the award, the Best Picture went to Coda. I'm not sure if that's an upset. I don't think there was a real clear front runner.
It built up over time, like build a following. People were rooting for it, so it came around as it's a feel good movie. I remember reviewing it on here and saying how I thought it was just kind of hokey and didn't do much for me. So
those usually seem to have the edge of the Oscars over the dark and dreary.
But I didn't have a problem with it winning. It's fine. It's just it's not the best movie of the year by any stretch of the imagination. So that's kind of the kind of movie that I think should win. I think in of just like looking back on it, who's going to look back on that and be like, yeah, that was the right movie that year?
Mm-hmm. No one's going to look back on this Oscars and think of anything but the one.
Yeah, exactly.
Best Director went to Jane Campion for Power of the Dog. Best Animated Feature went to Encanto. Best Supporting Actress, Ariana DeBose for West Side Story. Best Actress, Jessica Chastain for The Eyes of Tammy Faye. Best Supporting Actor, Troy Kotzer for Coda.
That one, he was good, yeah.
And Best Actor went to one William Smith.
Right, retire after this.
At least for 10 years.
Yeah.
I have no takes. I don't think Ka-Pow has an official take. Everyone already had their takes. They were all terrible. They all made me uncomfortable, so
yeah. Me too.
I have no official take for the record.
I am one white guy that's just gonna not comment on that at all.
So anyway, I love the Oscars, and I just wish they would just celebrate movies and stop trying to pull tricks. Even though, honestly, the show wasn't that bad. Like, as much as everyone was freaking out thinking it was going to be forget about movies, it didn't do too bad, and it was comparable to some of the past years. But I just wish they'd get back to celebrating movies. Don't try to do this internet junk and just focus on who has an anniversary that makes sense instead of what was the weird 28th Pulp Fiction, 28-year Pulp Fiction anniversary. I was like, what are you doing? You can't wait 2 more years or something? Or what?
Yeah.
Jeez.
I don't know what they were doing.
That was weird.
Somebody in the cast will be canceled long before this, so they had to get it out of the way now.
That's true. That's true. So.
Oh.
Any other newsworthy stories? I saw a bunch of people they're all hopping on the boycott Disney bandwagon currently. So that next Walt Disney World trip of mine might be kind of nice. Have a lot fewer people around, I hope.
Yeah. Yeah. You think they'll get rid of Chapek eventually?
I think personally they will wait it out until his contract extension time comes up and then just leave him hanging out to dry. He has somehow pissed off every side you can think of in one giant swoop. And I don't know anybody that I guess the investors would probably be the only ones actually happy with what he's doing, I suppose. I mean, if you looked at their numbers and their profit, but as a Parks fan, he's torn apart a lot. He's taken away a lot, and the only way you're going to get part of what we got for free or what we got for included is now you got to pay a premium for. So I don't know. I don't see his CEO-ship lasting very long. I don't see how it can. So if I was the board, I would be on the phone with Tom Staggs, or I would have been on the phone with Tom Staggs as soon as this stuff started to go down with Chapek. But I at this point, I have no idea what's going to happen. But I think he's definitely closer to the door than was anticipated.
All right, so we've probably been watching some stuff.
There's something very important I forgot to tell you.
What?
Don't cross the streams.
Islands in the stream, that is what we are.
Cross the streams.
Right? I watched some good stuff.
Let's hear it.
And some bad stuff.
I like good stuff.
I watched some good stuff and some bad stuff.
I had some news before we jumped into any
Okay.
reviews. The CW announced the whole slate of their renewals for next year. Just to let you know, Flash will be coming back for season 9. Superman and Lois renewed for season 3. And then renewals for All American, Nancy Drew, Kung Fu, Walker, and a 7th season of Riverdale. So those were all made official. There's a few that haven't yet. It said they were still waiting on decisions to be made before the upfronts in May, which are when the networks all promote their stuff to the media. So we haven't heard anything about Batwoman, Naomi, or Legends of Tomorrow yet.
Have you watched any of that Naomi yet?
I've watched this first season. It has some interesting concepts, but it just hasn't been really
nothing to grab you
with me all that much. Yeah. It just has that thing. There's a good setup. If you don't know anything about it, she's a superhero. Basically, she's an alien from another world. She was adopted. She's the Superman story, but on a world without superheroes. And there's this antagonist for the whole first half of the season who she thinks is trying to hide stuff from her and keep stuff from her. And there's a switch. You realize he's been protecting her and keeping her safe from stuff. And it was a really good moment. And they revealed it, and she has to this guy I thought was against me is with me. And they got trapped in this building, and the gates all shut down, and security was swarming at them. And the whole hour was them trying to escape the building in the most slow motion. They ran into a room, I think we can hide here for a minute. So why did you act that way toward me? Well, I gotta tell you. And then I had a 10-minute conversation, and it's well, I don't know whether it's the budget or the way these shows are written and constructed, but it's even when you have some momentum, the low stakes, the low energy of these shows just kill it really, really hard, really fast. But CW also had 3 pilots in development. The prequels Walker Independence, so we get a prequel to Walker Texas Ranger, and The Winchesters, a prequel to Supernatural. And the third one in development is Gotham Knights. And it was described as Bruce Wayne is murdered. His adopted son forges an alliance with the children of Batman's enemies, becoming its next generation of saviors, known as the Gotham Knights. And the cast includes Harvey Dent, his daughter Dula Dent, the Carrie Kelly version of Robin, and the sibling duo Harper and Cullen Rowe. So it's going to be weird, next generation, alternate reality, Gotham City kind of stuff. So we'll see. Those are pilots that haven't been picked up or anything yet. But
well, I know over on HBO they for a while they were heavily promoting that DC show, the DMZ, I think with Rosario Dawson. But I haven't
finished that yet, but I started it.
Did you? Okay, I haven't got into it yet, but I mean, it looked rather adult, I'm assuming, on HBO, and knowing their DC stuff.
I've liked it. Yeah, I mean, it's not comic booky. If you didn't know it was from a comic, you'd never know. But it was a Vertigo series in 2005 to 2012, ran 72 issues. Brian Wood and Riccardo Burchielli. So the idea is there's been a second Civil War in America, and there's the United States and the free states of America battling it out, and the front line is basically Manhattan. So that's been declared a demilitarized zone, and it's been walled off, and no one can get in or out. Well, people do; they smuggle each other out, but you're not supposed to. So that was the basis of the comic, and the star of the comic was a journalist who went into the DMZ and was embedded in there, and it was just stories that this journalist was uncovering. And one of the characters he first meets is the Rosario Dawson character, Z. So they decided to make the show all about her, because I think she's a more interesting character. So I was trying to think, I couldn't think of a comic that has been adapted into a show that's completely different from, they don't even have the same cast as the source material. The main character is not involved whatsoever in the show. So, but Benjamin Bratt was really good in it as like a gang leader. Yeah, it was solid what I've seen so far.
So go ahead and tell us what you've watched that's good there, Seth.
Good or bad? We're going to start
good.
with good. Okay. Severance.
Okay, go ahead and have a seat.
My name is Mark S.
I'm Helly R.
My name is Irving B.
My name is Dylan G.
And I have, of my own free accord,
elected to undergo the procedure
known as severance.
Awesome.
I give consent for the Lumen Corporation,
and it's a good corporation,
to sever my memories between my work life
and my personal life.
I acknowledge that once the procedure is complete,
I will be unable to access my personal memories
whilst on Lumen's severed floor. Nor will I retain work memories
when I return home at the end of the day.
I am aware that this alteration is comprehensive and irreversible.
I make these statements freely.
Okay, that's a wrap.
Open or closed?
Both.
Season 1 on Apple TV Plus. You should get it just to watch this show. And Coda, Best Picture, is on there. I'm sure if you like that, it's on there. But I think I told you guys about this show, right? Briefly.
Yeah, where you can separate your work and your home life.
Yes. And that's as much as I would like to tell you about the plot. Because honestly, when I watched the first episode or whatever, I didn't even know that. And I had to find that out by watching it, which was very, weird to, I mean, that was probably the right way to watch it, but how do you watch anything nowadays without
being spoiled?
Without being enticed, I guess. If you don't know the plot at all, you're highly unlikely to watch it. But anyway, it's great, directed by Ben Stiller for the most part, and it's really good sci-fi. It reminds me of Lost in a good way. It feels like they wrote this knowing where they're going instead of just making a puzzle for puzzle's sake. So yeah, as you watch the whole season, there's things that you're like, what does that mean? What does this mean? And at the end of the first season, you don't get all the answers. They've definitely set themselves up to continue the show, but you get enough answers. You're not frustrated by the end. It's very in fact, I was watching this last episode thinking, man, they better not do this or that. It's going to frustrate me. And I was not. I was definitely just can't stand the wait till the next season. They really left a good cliffhanger, which gave you information you didn't know and kind of blew my mind. So anyway, it's Adam Scott is the star of the show, and it's got John Turturro, Christopher Walken, Patricia Arquette, Britt Lauer was Helly. She was I was trying to think what I'd seen her in before. It was Man Seeking Woman. She played his girlfriend in Man Seeking Woman, I'm pretty sure. Let's see what her name was in that. Liz in that. But anyway, Zach Cherry, Tremel Tillman. Anyway, it's a great cast, great show, good sci-fi of trying to figure out the consequences of that setup. You know, what they've created, what is this company really trying to do, and where are they going to go from here. But I would not necessarily have been over the top recommending it until I saw the finale, and it makes me kind of want to watch it again and see what, how that everything tied together. But it's great stuff. That gets my biggest recommendation. If you have Apple TV Plus, you definitely should be watching. And if you don't, it's $5. The whole season's out there. Get it for subscription for a month and burn through it in a weekend. The other thing I watched that was great was Julia.
The food itself is like a passport. Let her in.
You look lovely this morning.
Not camera ready, as they say.
What are you going to talk about?
I guess the book, before everyone forgets about it completely. At this stage of my life, I want to feel relevant.
My guest this afternoon writes cookbooks. Maybe we'll rename our little program What My Wife's Been Reading. Welcome, Julia Child.
What a lovely introduction. And I've come just in time.
Ooh, what is she doing? Are you all right down there?
You were a treasured guest in living rooms all over Boston.
To Julia.
To us. I've had a recurring thought that I'd like to propose to you. An educational cooking show hosted by myself.
Feels flimsy to me. This is public television, for God's sake.
Shouldn't we go with someone with a more camera-friendly look and a less distinctive sound?
You were onto something so big. I'm just sorry that my colleagues don't have the vision to see it yet.
Where are these gentlemen? One of the advantages of looking like me is that you learn at a young age how not to take no for an answer. I don't know if I can do all this.
Doing this is genius.
Action.
Out of the tree of life, I just picked me a plum.
Welcome to the French Chef.
Cliff, you said you watched some of this.
Yeah, I really like it. I've watched the first 3 episodes so far. Yeah, it's just
on HBO Max.
It's on HBO Max. It's about Julia Child and doing her cooking, the first cooking television show. So,
yeah, you guys remember watching that? You ever? I mean,
I don't.
We know who Julia Child is.
Yeah.
Do people nowadays know who Julia Child is?
No, they do. I don't think most of them do, as far as younger people, because my daughter had no idea who she was. And yeah, we certainly know.
That's not novel. Being a chef on TV is not a weird thing.
No, we have entire networks for that now. So yeah. So this
Very
was
true.
the first. But
I'm really impressed with the girl playing her.
Yeah,
Sarah Lancashire. I knew I'd seen her before, but I think what I saw her in was this Happy Valley. I watched some of it. It's like a British crime drama.
Mm-hmm.
That she plays a cop, and it's kind of a quirky show, but she's very likable and does a great Julia Child. I mean, a good. Yeah. I don't think they could have got anybody to do a better job as that character. It'd be likable, and
anybody else would have come off as silly, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And
she really just she makes it seem real. It's like that ridiculous voice and all that. She tones it down instead of going for it over the top. She tones it down a little bit and just makes her a real 3-dimensional character.
Yeah, I love the relationship she has with her husband. It's just such a sweet thing for television today that we don't see so much of anymore. And that's what really has attracted me to the show, is getting all I can think
David
of
Hyde Pierce. David Hyde Pierce.
Yeah, David Hyde Pierce.
Niles. We got a Frasier reunion with him and maybe Newworth, and I mean, so they're both great in it, and I watch Frasier every night at work on my break. Just like I love seeing these guys.
He's an actor.
Show. It's a good show.
I haven't seen him in many things besides Frasier. And so it was, when he hit the screen, it was kind of nice. And I was like, oh yeah, this guy, he's really good. I like him. And it's just such a nice relationship they have between the two of them. Just as a couple, they don't have children, and they're just two adults living their lives together and sharing, and they don't let, the support they give each other, I guess, is the main thing of the show. So it's just, it's done very well. And I love that time period. And
I love the guy playing her producer. Does he look familiar? I don't know if you've seen the movie, but I was like, that face looks so familiar, but he's got an old timey haircut, and I'm just like, where have I seen this guy before? He was the nerd in the Cabin in the Woods, who was like it was all stereotypes, each of the characters, whatever, but the nerd in it, I don't think I'd seen in anything else, and he
Fran Kranz or whatever.
Yeah. He's in this. He's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just surprised me. But anyway, it's a good show. If you like, it's a good feeling show. Everyone, you got to have a positive, fun show and see her success story and how she made it happen. So that's good. Anybody else watching anything?
Oh, just a little show called Moon Knight.
Stephen. There he is. Hello, man in the mirror. I know you're scared. A bit, yeah. I know you're confused. You weren't supposed to see any of this. What are you? Sure you want to know?
Mark, you look different.
I can't tell the difference between my waking life and dreams. Am I like some sort of secret agent? It's a little more complicated than that. We protect the vulnerable and deliver justice. This is the worst day of my life.
Marvel Studios Moon Knight, only on Disney Plus.
Oh yeah. What's that?
Got the first couple.
I forgot about it. I'm like a freaking goldfish.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know anything about this character, so it hasn't really done much. It's only been 2 episodes, but it hasn't done a whole lot for me yet so far.
Well, it's a third over, so there's only 6, so it's a significant portion.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you guys would be much more informed on this than me.
I'm not I don't know a ton about Moon Knight. Read very little. Know his basic deal and his psychological stuff and the avatar of No Shoe or whoever. But I think the show's great. I think they screwed up releasing 1 episode the first week. They should have released the first 2 episodes because it just filled it out, let you see what more of what was going on.
Yeah,
I love F. Murray Abraham as the voice of No Shoes. Like, oh, the idiot's back. Just like that. He's great. He's doing great. Ethan Hawke is excellent.
I give a lot of credit for what Oscar Isaac has done with it. That's always a tough, I'm sure, a challenging type of thing to do. And he's really good in it. It's just the story hasn't grabbed me, more or less, I guess. So I don't know what I was really expecting out of it, or that I was expecting anything out of it. I don't hate it. I just, as far as the Marvel shows, this has been the one that really just hadn't grabbed me yet. So it may turn out I feel totally different by the end of it, and we'll have to see.
I heard a little bit of grumbling, like you said, after that first episode. Oh, we barely even saw Moon Knight. It's too slow. Or it's too. There's
That's my least favorite part of it is when Moon Knight comes out. When it's like I like the mystery of what I like the not seeing what he's doing.
That's what I thought was so clever about starting this. Starting with the character instead of the plot and the lore and the history, because this show could have very easily started 10,000 years ago in Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
The god Khonshu did, it's like you could have laid all that out at the beginning with a
preamble.
And like you could have just explained it all, or you could discover it along with Oscar Isaac because he has no clue what's going on. So I was fine with that, getting to like this character and getting to sympathize with this character before we know his full deal. I thought that was really good. And I really liked his performance especially, but I really liked, he wakes up and goes to the museum. And in my head, how many millions of times have we seen this? We know he has ties to Egypt, so of course he's a world-renowned scholar of Egyptian lore or whatever. It's like, oh no, he works in the gift shop. Like,
yeah.
I thought that, like, those little touches of, like, he's just an everyday guy. And I don't know, just little moments caught me. Like, I haven't made up my mind on it yet. I don't know that it's the best thing on Disney Plus, but I think it's got some things I can hook on to.
I will say they did just the production in general. They did a really good job. Oscar Isaac did a really good job playing Steven, and just his British, just the way he spoke. It didn't sound like an American trying to do a British accent, because he's using phrases and terms in a very British, in a very UK way, instead of an American guy, that just does an accent and says thanks. He says cheers. The way he bickers back and forth with his boss at the museum, it felt very authentic in that way. And I immediately I was like, oh, this is really good. Like, it's showing attention to detail we don't always get in some of these big, all-encompassing, heavy on effects productions. So I really enjoyed that. Little things of seem very authentic, I guess.
So far, so good, I think.
Yeah, I like the action scenes in that first one were basically all off-screen. He just kept waking up to the results of his actions. Again, it's just the teases that they give you. So this would have in the old days been called multiple personalities or multiple personality disorder. Now dissociative identity disorder. So yeah, that's a way they kind of, in the comic book continuity, he had multiple secret identities and stuff. So he's one of those characters who's had a lot of origin stories and a lot of complicated, like the Hawkman sort of deal of he's been a lot of different characters and a lot of different things and he's had a lot of different jobs. So this is one way to get around that. But yeah, he just woke up in Egypt, so we're gonna jump off to some big adventure in the homeland, I guess. So I'm looking forward to where it's gonna go.
Did you guys skateboard back in the day at all? No, this disgust, just shaking their heads in disgust.
No. I was not that coordinated.
Well, when Back to the Future came out and relit the skateboarding world that had been crazy big in the 70s and then just was starting to come back in the 80s, and then they, I know that I related to Back to the Future because that's when it was like, wow, he's got a skateboard. That's cool. I got to get a skateboard. Went and got a Volterra just like his and had that. And then anyway, got kind of caught up with some friends in the, skating, and just go downtown skating at the employment office, anywhere that had any cool, good pavement to street skate on. We did when we might be BMXers for one summer and skateboarders in the fall, or back, constantly jumping back and forth. But it was big around here at the time, and used to get Thrasher magazine, Trans World skateboarding magazine, and just like follow all the pro skaters, watch the Bones Brigade's video. I knew everybody's freaking name that was not as Coppas, Christian Osoy, Lance Mountain. You know, there were tons of pro skateboarders, and I didn't get out of skateboarding until like 2 or 3 years into doing it, when, like I've told before, I ordered my Neil Blender Mini new skateboard, and it came to the house and I didn't even open it because I just went to my friend's house and played a Nintendo Entertainment System, and I was like, nope, send the skateboard back, I'm buying the Nintendo. And that was basically where it ended. I've had skateboards since then and stuff. I've got one around here somewhere, but that kind of ended the skate much and started playing video games all the time. But there's a documentary on HBO Max this week, came out. I think it's produced by Duplass Productions, but it's called Tony Hawk Till the Wheels Come Off, and it's a like 2-hour documentary of his life. He's by far the most famous skateboarder, and he is mostly he's a ramp skater. I mean, he did it all, but he was known for his, skating on a half pipe mostly, or in bowls and stuff. And he was the guy that won all the competitions, and everybody hated for being a goody two shoes, the Mr. Perfect type thing. But it's, it goes through his life from being a kid, little kid up through now. And it's really great. I'm kind of curious what people think of it that weren't into all that stuff and don't know who all these guys are. But I thought it was really good documentary, like very fun. You get tons of footage because it was a huge thing at the time. One of my favorite skaters, Rodney Mullins, is interviewed a lot in it, and he's kind of an oddball, but he was a freestyle skater, and he just kind of would stand in one place and do tricks on his skateboard, flipping it around and jumping. Just like when you see footage of this stuff in here, it's just like what talent it took to do these things. Like, we were far more into street skating around here because skating a half pipe is just like deadly. It's like you had to have balls of steel to do that stuff. And I don't know. I know they have that skate park down here. I don't even know if it's kept up or maintained. I haven't been down there for years, but they put a bowl in and stuff. And anyway, somebody should check it out and tell me what you think, because I thought it was really good. He's notorious nowadays. All anybody knows him for is people almost recognizing him or saying, you look like Tony Hawk. That's the thing he's most famous for now. It's really good.
Yeah, I somehow I don't know. I remember when his video games first started coming out and how excited people would play that for hours and hours and hours. But yeah, it was skateboarding. I don't know. It might just be an age difference.
Yeah, I don't know. So. Probably. Yeah, I was in high school. I mean, I was in high school when it was really huge around here.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. So I knew people skateboarded. I knew that was a thing, but I didn't know anybody that did it, as far as I can remember.
Right. Yeah, that's just who you're friends with.
Yeah.
Like literally one of my best friends, I had known him when we were in kindergarten, and then I hadn't seen him for like, till this was the summer of '86. I finally started hanging out with him again. I'm like 15, I think. Mm-hmm. And he, I was 14 when I met him. He was our paper boy, and he came just collecting money for the paper, and he was on his skateboard. Mm-hmm. I was like, ooh, I got a skateboard from Back to the Future. I was like, I'm going out there and that was history. I mean, we just like, I still say that's the best summer of my life, was the summer we spent, skateboarding and riding bikes and doing all this stuff the year before I started going to public school and in ninth grade. And then right when the summer was over, they extended it with a 3-week teacher strike. Right when I got my new bike, it was just best summer ever.
I would have needed streets to be a street skater. So
oh, true. True.
Being a County Road 8 skater wouldn't have quite worked as gravel driveway skaters.
Somebody had a ramp in Williamstown, a quarter pipe, and we used to ride over there to like go see it, go see them do stuff, and we'd have to ride our bikes across the Williamstown Bridge. Well, it was closed; it was just condemned. We'd ride our bikes and jumping over the holes in the bridge as we're going. Just you'd kill your kid if you knew they were doing anything like that nowadays.
Yeah, the old Williamstown Bridge.
Yeah. Before they blew it up.
Yeah, I have a picture of me and I think my grandparents. I remember when they blew it up. I didn't go to school on time that day because I went to go watch them blow up the bridge. I mean, I was in.
Yeah. I think everybody was down there. I swear.
Yeah. I was probably in like third grade or something. I think, and I have a picture there. So, and I think we have a picture of when it blew up and was dropped into the river. So.
I've got one too.
It's a monumental moment in the mid-Ohio Valley.
It is. Nobody forget. Blow bridges up enough. Fix a lot of things around here. Blow up a couple bridges.
Right, just blow it up.
Whoever's running for office this year, that needs to be their platform. I will blow up more bridges.
It's the Riddler.
Oh, shoot. So, yeah, that's good stuff.
Did anyone check out the pirate comedy on HBO? Our Flag Means Death.
What we're about to do will be perilous. Some of us won't be coming back. Others may be devastated by what they've witnessed. So, if that's the case, what will we do? Something I've always encouraged?
Bottle it up.
No.
We talk about it.
Exactly. We talk it through as a...
Approach on the vessel, Ka-Pow!
Right, this is it. Places, everyone. Look scary. Every pirate captain captains pirates differently. In the shuffle of madness. Traditionally, piracy is a culture of abuse. And my thought is, why can't one be a gentleman and a pirate? We're swashbuckling. Let's have fun with it.
This is how you die. Fuck is you supposed to be?
I'm Steed.
He's a gentleman pirate. You're an idiot.
So he's a fancy man with a fancy ship.
Hi-oh!
He travels with a brigade of imbeciles. Do I have that right?
Completely unprofessional.
Fascinating.
I watched the first episode.
I think I did too. A few weeks ago.
I mean, I know it's good. Just like I know What We Do in the Shadows is good and that, but it's not what I want to watch ever. I know it's good and I enjoy it fine, but it's not my thing. Like I can't get into this.
It has a very similar tone to What We Do in the Shadows, the Taika Waititi brand of silliness and kind of subtle humor, but also over the top wackiness as well. So it's 10 episodes, half hours apiece, and it's kind of based on a true story. There was an actual pirate named Stede Bonnet who had a very comfortable life as an aristocrat. Was a very rich person, owned land, had a big family, and he just wasn't happy. So he left all of it and just became a pirate. And he did it like he had a whole library on board. He had a huge closet on board with all his fancy outfits. He paid his crew like a monthly wage. Like pirates just, whatever they stole, they got. Like he had he had paychecks. So he was a very eccentric, odd person in real life, and this just takes that up, cranks it to 11. It's Rhys Darby is the main character. Flight of the Conchords, that wrecked sitcom on TBS about the plane crash on the island. He's been in a million things. You'd recognize him, I'm sure. So it's funny, it's silly. I've enjoyed it. I haven't finished it. It's not one I've binged my way through. You kind of have to be in the right mood for it, but I've enjoyed it.
Cliff, we watched This Is Us and bitched about it. Let's do it in public.
That was just for us. No.
We raved about it too much. They sucked me in, and they have to know that I'm mad now. This is the final season. They're like, we're not gonna make this go on too long. The first 5 seasons have been really good.
Yeah.
They're like, we're going to go one more season. That's a great idea. Just do one final season, wrap it up, and not drag it out. And, just keep milking this cash cow. And then this final season has been terrible.
Yeah, it's not good.
It's terrible. It's like they have no ideas. They have no good ideas of anything to do. They didn't set things up in the previous seasons. To pay off in this this 6th season. I think they just had stuff to pay off through the 5th season, and that was it.
Yeah.
And now they're just struggling, dragging themselves to the finish line, and it's awful. And this past episode where they had that little blind kid in his red boots going out like the kid in It, and he's going to get hurt. You already know he's going to get hurt when he leaves. And it's horrible. It's just way too long anticipation of this. It's like it was just the most garbage television I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, I'm really not enjoying most of the last season, especially this drawn out conflict between Kate and Toby. And we're not gonna get our happily ever after, and we're gonna get divorced, and like, okay, we've known that for a really long time now at this point, and you just keep dragging it out and having them fight and making Toby a character that they built up for season after season. Yeah. And just making them out to just be terrible people. And I'm just like, I don't enjoy this. And
I get what they're trying. I get the point of saying like, yeah, these are two good people, and that
it doesn't
cannot
always
work.
Yeah,
like
it doesn't
they don't. They're not net. Yeah, they don't have, because they're arguing. They're bad people when they're around each other.
Yes,
it's not like they're bad people, but it's not fun to watch. No one wants to watch that. That's
exactly
just not what. It's not what this show is supposed to be, or ever was. So that's the problem. It's not. I get what they're trying to say with it, but it is far too much of it. It's every episode now.
It's every episode, and we're not getting anything entertaining from any of the other central characters at this point, really.
I'm watching it for the time travel stuff. I'm watching it for the different times and how they reflect on each other and the surprises that come with that. You see how this was handled back then.
But even in the flashbacks, it feels like they're doing things. They're showing things they've already shown. They're doing things they've already done. I mean,
they don't have anything to do with what's going on now most of the time, except. You said something about, because there's that big moment where which he said this a million times, oh yeah, you and your brothers and like they're all the three of them always standing up for each other, the big three, which I wanted so bad. There's a GIF I always want to use, and I don't think it exists, but I think of it, and I wanted to send it last night when you said that. But the one of when Mike goes to the fight, going to go fight in the office, and Jim's behind him doing that. I want a GIF of that. Like I would totally send that all the time.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't know how many episodes are left. There can't be that many. We're in the spring, but just give it up. I don't know what you clearly had no ideas for the last season.
For a show that has been written so well since the beginning, and really didn't have any major stumbles along the way. Like, it was always enough to keep me entertained and emotionally into the show.
Always good enough, sometimes great.
Yeah. But this season, just, man, they have dropped the ball. And I'm not really sure that they can pick it up and run with it at this point, because what's left? I mean, you know, they're building a house, they're building a cabin, okay, fine, great. There's Nikki's got a girlfriend, okay, fine, great. Like, Kevin's moving on, what, oh, okay. You know, it's just, it should be better.
I just wanted to complain about it for a second.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Yeah. It should be better. So.
That's all I got. I think that's all. Other than things that are still ongoing that we were watching before, I'm waiting to see how they finish up.
Exactly.
Give a post-mortem. There's a bunch of movies coming out I want to catch, and then we'll talk about those.
Yeah, I feel like we're just kind of in that slow point in the year, into the season right now, where right before everything starts to pick back up again. Yeah, Riverdale's still kind of coming along, but I'm waiting on you guys to get caught up with, or you guys ready to talk about it at least. So a couple episodes of that's been really good, but yeah, other than that, it's baseball starting up here has started up this week, and finally into the regular season. So I'm kind of looking forward to watching a few games this year. So working on that, and I need to get my radio going in the shop again so I can do like Jordan does with the Reds, and I can listen to some games. But
yeah, I was definitely struck by how much TV is currently out. It's like, oh, and there's a baseball game every single night. Great. Time to make some decisions on what to cut.
So,
but don't cut the podcast. We'll be here.
Never. It was just our anniversary. I saw on my Facebook memories.
It was.
It was like started April. It was 6 years ago. We started.
Yeah.
We switched to Ka-Pow, something like that. So.
Wow, 6 years.
Wow.
320 some episodes, and 6 years later. Wow, who would have thought? Overtook the Ogres. We're well past them on episode count. So. I don't know what's left for us to do. I mean, we've kind of accomplished everything. We're like, this is
that's the highest run. Once you beat the Ogres, how do you beat that?
We'll never catch Jesse. We always have something to strive for.
Strive forward, try to reach that zenith.
We'll always be in Jesse's rearview mirror, so that's
I'm gonna have him over here tomorrow for some Dragon Age and kick his ass around the room, so around the table. So it's the only place we can dominate. Get that Clint Clattenburg in here and put some bruises on him.
Oh, shoot.
All right, I think that does it for this episode. We'd love to hear from you on social media, or just shout out the window and tell us what you want to hear, what you don't want to hear more of. Let us know. We're here to cater to you. We want to be the show you want to hear. And until next time, my name is Jordan Lowe.
I'm Cliff Barnes.
I'm Seth. Bye forever.
Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Sounds, music, and clips played during the podcast are property of copyright holders. All original content is property of www.udownwithkpp.com. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and leave a comment. Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast, can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, and wherever podcasts can be found. You can connect with us through social media on Facebook, YouTube, at the Ka-Pow Podcast on Twitter, or email the show, Ka-Pow, the pop cultured podcast @gmail.com. If you really want to go the extra mile, join our Patreon at patreon.com/udownwithkpp for special content and access to Patreon-only benefits. We are grateful for anyone who chooses to contribute, but please know that most of our content will remain free. So please continue to like, comment, and share.